Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying what you are hearing. Now, on to today's story. I, 26M, revealed my cousin's, 22F, traumatic secret to my uncle and everyone is losing it. Sorry this is so long. Context was needed. I, 26M, have two twins cousins, 22F, London and Paris. They are not related by blood, but by marriage. My uncle, Brad, employs and trains convicts to learn construction, carpentry, and other building skills as a form of rehabilitation and reintegration. I believe part of his business has government fund, but I'm not sure. But that is how Uncle Brad met Joyce, London and Paris' mother. Their father, a contemptible waster of matter we'll call Junkie, had been employed by my uncle, but Junkie did not appreciate the opportunity. Junkie committed several crimes, did drugs, and other X-rated things on job sites, and before being confronted about it, ducked off with thousands of dollars worth of tools and equipment and one of my uncle's trucks. We later found out he fled to Texas with another worker on the site. Not another convict. A receptionist. I remember being a sweet person from my times meeting them when I was little. He'd apparently got her hooked on drugs and was hooking up at the office, and at the work sites. I met Paris, London, and their mother Joyce while waiting in my uncle's office. I was maybe 12 at the time. Joyce had come looking for her husband, who had not been around for 2 weeks and had run off with their savings. Which, I would later find out wasn't the first, but it would be the last time. I met Paris and London then. Both little girls were unpleasant to say the least. I would describe this first encounter, but I want to keep the story from getting too long. Anyway, I think my uncle felt sorry for Joyce. Helping people is kind of his thing. And he began to help her and the girls out in little ways, eventually helping Joyce get a job with one of his business associates. We knew right away that he was getting too attached to Joyce and her kids because he began talking about her situation a lot with my dad. My uncle used to take us at least 4 days a week after school. He was awesome, attentive, and just the best. So I will admit I was very resentful when that attention got turned from us to Paris and London. Uncle Brad and Joyce began dating, and eventually got married. All of his effort and attention went to his new family, as it should, but Paris and London were not all that appreciative. Despite Uncle Brad's efforts to love them, provide for them, and be a good stepfather, they treated him like crap, and an ATM. Uncle Brad would read books, got to counseling, and consult my dad about how to be a better parent. He gave the girls space. He forgave and did not press charges against their father when he showed back up. He paid to facilitate their relationship, helped that Junkie get employed again, and did many things for the girls' benefit. We lost the relationship we once had. We barely got to see him once or twice a month after that. London and Paris grew to be spoiled, entitled girls. Didn't help that both girls are obviously attractive. People have been making excuses for their behavior for several reasons. Some feel sorry for them for how their experience with their dad, or the struggles of growing up in a mixed race, broken home, or that they're pretty. Whatever it is, consequences have hardly ever been a part of their life. Uncle Brad did not really yell at or discipline them harshly, even when they did heinous things, like when they cute my sister Danny's hair when she was asleep, because they've always been jealous of her. The twins are admittedly attractive, but my sister Danny has always been Queen Bee. Me and my brother often joke that she got all the good looks in your litter, cause neither he nor I are anything to get all excited about. But Danny has always been pretty and talented, and the twins always resented her because people pay more attention to Danny, and Danny don't take no shit from them. Danny used to have long hair. We are African American, but my mother is half Polynesian or something. Her family mostly from New Zealand or something, and she can speak Maori. We were never taught. Mom has the hair, but doesn't really look it, favors her dad. But Danny favors our grandma. Looks a lot like her, but darker skinned, with hazel eyes. Other than the hair cutting thing. London threw Danny's pet turtle into the lake. They broke my GameCube after I told them they couldn't play it without supervision. They had a habit of throwing controllers. They would steal little things. Nothing they needed. Clothes, little toys, snacks. Despite that, they were spoiled as hell, and anything they wanted Uncle Brad would buy them. Like literally anything. One time London started a rumor around her school that I had been trying to look at her naked. Her school took it very serious, and if it wasn't for Paris, who apparently had limits to her bullshit, that would have went very badly for me. She said it was just a joke, but that could have ruined my life. I'm still bitter as duck that Uncle Brad and Aunt Joyce didn't believe me. Aunt Joyce was all fire and brimstone, and Uncle Brad was understanding, gave me a talk about appropriate behavior with girls, like I was guilty. Despite all that, I had tried to be a good cousin to them. I helped them when they needed it. Did the big brother thing. I would show up when they needed me, like when they became teenagers and got into trouble. Uncle Brad has asked me to look out for them. Told me they need family. Our family wasn't really accepting of them too much. Not my immediate family. But my dad's side. Uncle Brad's and his brothers and sisters, and they kid. My dad was the other woman's baby, so we got treated like pariahs by that side of the family. We're really close to them at all. Uncle Brad is the only one that really close to us at all. They were all mad at him cause he was a successful black man that decided to marry a white woman, and they didn't want to be around them, white kids, which got worse after London's little accusation against me was exposed. Uncle Brad always pushed me and Danny to look out for them cause we know what it's like to not have family be there for us. We tried. Despite all they did, which I can't even get into here. This is already too long. But we tried. I've bailed London out of jail. I've showed up to collect them drunk or high at parties. I've punched out more than one handsy boyfriend or friend. I did my best. In the present, the girls have grown to beautiful, but spoiled young women. They're just so used to getting their way. They've drained Uncle Brad emotionally and financially. They'd always been the "you're not my dad" type. They've taken his time, money, love and all that. But the final straw came when he found out they'd failed all their classes in college he was paying for. London at least has been freshman at their college for 3 years. She's not been taking it seriously, and even less so when COVID hit. Even Paris was really bad the past year, failing classes, not attending online courses. Eventually Uncle Brad decided to cut them off. Stop giving them an allowance. Stop paying for school. Stop paying for their apartment. The family has kind of been in a tizzy, as Uncle Brad has even threatened to leave Aunt Joyce because she's not been very supportive of him over the years when it came to standing up for the girls who mistreated him. He expected her to talk to them, to discipline them and all that, cause he was afraid to yell at them or do anything other than ground them. But Aunt Joyce has always been soft-spoken. A doormat. If you ask me, they both created these little monsters, but whatever. Now Paris has been recently trying to do better. I've been home and she's been hanging out at my parents' house to escape the clusterfuck at Uncle Brad's place. London, however, is London. There have been arguments, talks, and interventions, but London has continued to be disrespectful, ungrateful, and verbally abusive. I, however, recently, from Paris, found out some truths that none of us knew. Paris claims that when they were little, their father molested them. That he would let his junkie friends molest and touch them for drugs. That it had gone on up until they were 8. That she remembers it vividly and had even talked to her mother about it, but no one listened cause London denied it, and would defend her dad. Over the years London would always berate her about it, telling Paris she was misremembering things and that though they had been abused by their father's friends when he was not around or passed out, their dad never did anything to them. But Paris is pretty adamant that she remembered it happening and that London was strangely much closer to her dad even though he did that. Paris is a follower. London always kind of leads and Paris does what she wants. If I'm being honest, Paris had always been easier to deal with, until her sister came around. Like a switch would turn on when they were together and Paris would just be the same bitch London was, when everyone was getting along before. She says that London always resented Uncle Brad for breaking up their family. Apparently when they were younger, after about a year of ghosting everyone, Junkie came back cause he was broken in a bad way, but Joyce had started a relationship with Uncle Brad. Junkie lied to London saying Uncle Brad fired him for no reason, blaming him for any and every little thing because he was a convict, discriminating against him. London believed this to this day, despite knowing that most of the people working for Uncle Brad were convicts. London was apparently a bitch to us and Uncle Brad on purpose. She thought Uncle Brad just treated her and her mom like a charity case. I'm told that they were used to their dad leaving for a while, their mom dating someone else, who eventually got tired of them, and then their dad would come back and the cycle would repeat. London was upset Uncle Brad would not leave like the others, and kept trying. When he married their mom she was pissed, but shit hit the fan when Brianna, their little sister, was born and London began taking out all her anger on her and Uncle Brad. Paris confirmed some things that I thought I knew, and some other horrible things they did. Paris is working on her relationship with her little sister, and me, and apologized, but London is being a super bitch. Today, after throwing another temper tantrum because Paris, who is trying to get away from her toxic relationship with her twin, London began throwing things, breaking things, and losing her shit. Her boyfriend, someone I call douchebag Chad, abandoned her to go deal with his sick grandmother in Michigan. She's upset that she can't stay at her childhood home with Uncle Brad and Joyce cause her behavior burned that bridge and she doesn't want to go back to Whitewater where she has an apartment fully paid up for a year. She's angry that Paris won't use her savings to help them get an apartment so she doesn't have to go back to Whitewater. Paris refuses and finally stood up to her sister who responded with incredible venom, accusing everyone of being against her, of me turning her sister against her, of Uncle Brad turning her mother against her and all that. Paris got up in her face and finally just told her the truth. That she was a spoiled brat who didn't appreciate the things she had or the people around her, that she needed therapy or some help and that everyone has always bent over backwards for her. That if she wasn't such an unbelievable bitch then she wouldn't be in this mess, but she can't keep friends cause of her ego and her lack of morals, sleeping with her friends' boyfriends and that she was a bad sister cause she'd even done it to Paris. That she was selfish and a narcissist and she drinks too much and needs to lay off the drugs or she'd end up like their father. This caused London to snap and defend their father. Their absentee, junkie, sexually abusive father. She literally hauled off and slapped Paris over this, and the two got into a fight. I wasn't quick enough to get in the middle before my dog jumped on London to get her off of Paris. He didn't bite her, but he scared the duck out of her. At this point I had had enough and I told London she can get the duck up out of our house. She began screaming and crying that we don't know her. Don't know what she been through. She starts telling us about all she went through. How Uncle Brad stole their mother. That despite her love and being a good girl, her dad left them because Paris didn't love him enough and was spreading lies about him. How Uncle Brad thinks he can buy their love. How he only tolerated them and a whole lot of other shit. She talked about times things happened to her while she was drinking or getting high and no one came to help her. How I gave up on her after Brianna was born. All kinds of shit. I know this was an opportunity to show empathy. This is where I probably should have shown some humanity. But this girl's entitlement and victimhood disgusts me. I told her that I feel bad that some bad things happened to her. I can't know the truth of everything I wasn't there for, and I can't speak for anyone but myself, but I think she needs to take responsibility for herself. She needs to look in the mirror and ask herself why so many people think she's a bitch. Why so many people stop associating with her. Why all of her friends end up not talking to her. I told her the truth. She is a spoiled cunt. She has always been a spoiled cunt, and her personal trauma does not justify how she's treated people. What did she expect from Uncle Brad? Did she expect him to be her doormat forever? I brought up how he bought her a brand new car for her 16th, a damn Charger, which she didn't thank him for and eventually let her father drive, and he totaled it. She expected to get another new car. I reminded her about her accusations against me and how it could have ruined my life. I talked to her about how she bullied and mistreated Brianna, and how she did so with London. How they both owe a lot of people a lot of apologies. How she brought all of it on herself, and if she wanted people to care again, she needed to change who she is. We all have trauma. We all have our issues that don't give us the right to be trauma for other people. I told her that a bad childhood, which she certainly didn't have after the age of 8, wasn't an excuse to be a shitty person. I said if she wants people to care about her and her shit, she has to care enough about herself to address those problems and seek help. If she asked Uncle Brad, even now, to pay for therapy, he would. She said she didn't need therapy, she just needed shit from us, and that she didn't need to be lectured by a fat duck whose wife is probably ducking the whole town while I'm away. I replied that she obviously does need help. Anyone who says that and was possibly diddled by their daddy definitely needs help. But she obviously ain't ready for that and don't appreciate the time and help anyone here has to offer, and she can get out of my house. For the second time in as many weeks, she looked at Paris like she betrayed her. And called her sister some mean names and said something incredibly racist and incestuous that I won't repeat her. Suffice to say, that led to her immediate removal. Later I got a call from Uncle Brad, who heard a manicured version of what happened. Despite Paris' protest, I decided to tell him the truth, the whole truth. He'd never heard about some of the stuff, especially the molestation allegations. I told Paris it was time this whole thing got addressed, but now everyone is mad at how I handled it. Uncle Brad and Aunt Joyce are upset for how I handled the situation, and Uncle Brad particularly says my reaction lacked empathy. Paris locked the door to my room and won't come out. She angry at me for telling Uncle Brad about their dad. Uncle Brad is livid and is angry at Aunt Joyce. Apparently Paris at least had told Aunt Joyce, who had dismissed it multiple times when they were young. Uncle Brad is angry that Aunt Joyce let Junkie keep coming around the girls. My mom says it wasn't my trauma to tell, and that with everything going on already, I just caused them more grief. That I should have minded my own business. My dad says the truth is the truth. If they chose to make me a part of it by laying that truth at my feet, folks can't be mad when I share that truth in an effort to help fix things. After all, I was accused of not giving a shit. He said this is what giving a shit looks like. Mom didn't agree with him and is annoyed, but they aren't fighting over it. So what should I do here? I got my own problems. My own issues I'm dealing with, and I kind of want to say, duck this, not my problem. But I'm sure Paris needs somebody right now, and London definitely needs help, despite being a mean little cunt. I don't think any healing can happen without them addressing the trauma. Pretending it didn't happen hasn't exactly yielded what I would call positive results. I don't know what I should do here. I put out one fire and another one started. Update: so, annoyed with a few comments, I decided to leave my parents' house. I apparently made a lot of noise, because Paris finally came out of my room to ask me where I was going. I apologized for revealing her secret and told her it would probably be best if one of us left, and since I can leave I would go. She asked me not to go. I'm typing this while she is in the bathroom. She is not angry with me because I revealed her secret. Paris is upset that I was taken seriously. Paris is upset that when she said something, it was brushed under the rug. Her issue is with her mother taking my statement seriously and it being a big thing because I said something, and when she said something her own mother acted like she was making stuff up. I did apologize again and she has asked me to sit with her and talk. I will when she's out of the bathroom. Not gonna lie. Still wanna storm out the house. I'm feeling attacked. Ducking out of the situation seems like a better idea, as is being suggested. But I'm going to show compassion and hear what she has to say. Update last one for a while. Okay, gonna concede that I should not have said anything. Even though Paris is not upset with me for sharing it exactly, she pointed out that in all her temper tantrums, in all her bullshit, London had never revealed this to anyone, especially not my uncle, and that despite her being cruel to me over the course of our lives, somehow trusted me enough to say something and I betrayed that trust. Not going to lie. Tried desperately to defend myself on this one. Like, the trust of someone you dislike and treat like crap. Like she trust me. I'm going through fidelity issues with my wife, and you gonna throw that in my face and I'm supposed to safeguard your secrets. But no, I am supposed to be better. Paris expects me to be better. London even expects me to be better. Paris thinks that London never deserved all my help and kindness and admits she was always cruel. Admitted to some things that I only suspected of London, but couldn't confirm. Like killing my hamsters. But even with all that, London did appreciate that I kept trying apparently, and was very hurt that I gave up on her after Brianna was born. I didn't tell on her when she got drunk. Got high at parties. When she got arrested that one time. There was an expectation that we don't tell certain things to the adults. I tried to argue we were all adults now, but she said I knew what she meant. I did. So yeah. I ducked up. I can see that now. I told her I'm going to take a step back and not be involved in this particular mess, but she doesn't want me to light a grenade and then walk away from the aftermath. I told her I would be there to support her, but she has to decide what and how. I don't think I can be trusted to navigate this situation. And I'm not trying to get involved any deeper and make a bigger ass of myself. Paris says I've been doing fine up until now and that she was happy I stood up for her and not just Brianna, like I apparently always do. She says we're family, that even London is family and I shouldn't run away from her cause I messed up. I need to make it right. I told her I don't know how to make this right. She said she could only speak for herself, but she just say I need to just be there and try to show more compassion. I told her I'm a little short on compassion and patience. But she says that's not true, that I just let it all get to me and made a bad decisions. She accused me of telling to put the problems back on Uncle Brad and Aunt Joyce cause I was tired of dealing with them. There may be some truth to that. Paris is a lot smarter than I've ever given her credit for. So, instead of talking, I'm probably just going to listen for a while and, as suggested, do nothing. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Have an awesome day or night. Wherever you are.